Yeah, we're coming now.
Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables. Get the tables.
And welcome back, everybody. This is episode number 3, numero tres of MarkOutMania. Definitely want to appreciate everybody for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Definitely take a listen to episodes 1 and 2 if you have a chance. Episode 1 featuring my special guest, Jacob Brock. It was 2.5 hours long. Last week I had a special guest, Will the Thrill Carter. And that one wasn't as long. That was an hour and a half, I believe. So we're getting there. We're getting there. It's just you gotta stay with me. It's just a very slow trickle down effect. But we'll get there maybe under an hour. Maybe. Don't put your hopes up. But I do want to appreciate everybody for taking the time out to listen to this podcast for MarkOutMania, a production of the Concord Outlaws Wrestling Association. Did not do a live stream this week. It's a little upsetting, but we'll make sure that we figure something out for next week so you guys can enjoy our spacious faces, all of our nice spacious faces. Special guest this week, we've got the host of the Phenomenal Show Off. He is on the other side of the aisle. We've got the Phenomenal Show Off. How you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good.
God, man, the short words. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. So, yeah, I got a special guest, some Phenomenal Show Off here. Make sure to catch his special feature podcast, a Phenomenal Show Off, here for the Concord Outlaws. Have you already recorded your show for this week?
No, I was going to do it yesterday when I got off of work, but things happened. I went to a party thing because I'm leaving the job I'm at now, and so they're having a little throwaway party for me, but the person who was hosting forgot to buy food and told me, hey, on your way, can you get food for us? And I was like, sure.
Can you get food for your own party?
Yeah. I was going to record before I left to go to it, but instead I had to go buy food. So it will be tomorrow when I'm off at some time. Probably noon or 1 o'clock tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, definitely give his podcast here a listen right after you listen to this one. This one will probably be uploaded before that one, I think. I don't know. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But either way, check out both of our podcasts. It'd be great. Definitely give us some feedback, like, share, all that good stuff. And we'll put the social media here later because, that takes up too much time and the special thing. So going right into the show today we've got a Extreme Rules review, and we've got the Raw review. I hate that I haven't done a SmackDown review yet, but a lot of things been happening here the past couple weeks. We got Money in the Bank coming up. We've got Extreme Rules coming up. So next week, definitely, I will be reviewing SmackDown, the go-home show for Money in the Bank, and give my preview for Money in the Bank. So check that out next week. I don't know about a guest yet. You never know with MarkOutMania. That's the special part of MarkOutMania. If we have a guest and you don't know about it, you can mark out, and that's what the show is all about. So check out next week, but before next week, we're going to get through this week, and we're going to talk about Extreme Rules. Phenomenal Show Off. Tell me, what was your grade you give for Extreme Rules this past Sunday?
I would give it a B minus. It wasn't the best, but it I didn't go in expecting much, and so I think that was the reason it showed off a little bit more for me. It wasn't an A pay-per-view because the first few matches were kind of didn't really care for. I think the show itself, if we're just judging the show itself, was pretty good, but to me the build up to all the matches was kind of boring, kind of lackluster, and needed more build. So, but overall, just that show itself, if you took away the build, I would give a B minus.
Not too bad. I'm a little bit on board with you there. I give it a B, just a straight B. As boring as that is, I didn't go with the minus or a plus. But Yeah, I thought the show all around, there were a couple dull moments in the pay-per-view, but I think you're going to get that quite often, in these middle of summer pay-per-views and pay-per-views that aren't the big four. So anything I think C and up is really good for a summer pay-per-view that isn't the big four. And I thought WWE did a really good job with working with what they had. And build up to some of these matches sure could have been a little bit better. But the performance-wise in most of these matches were really, really good. And sometimes you can't beat performance versus build-up. So sometimes it does exceed your expectations. So that's why I give this show a B. I thought it was pretty all-around, pretty solid show. There were, like I said, a couple dull moments, and we'll get into that here in just a second. So, yeah, that's what I give it. So going right into it, the show kicks off. We've got the IC title on the line. If Dean Ambrose gets disqualified, he loses the title at an Extreme Rules pay-per-view. If that isn't extreme, I don't know what is. So Ambrose has the title going into this match, and The Miz does defeat Ambrose to become the IC champion with the help of a couple little sneaky dirty tricks that he had up his sleeve. First with Maurice slapping him, trying to get Ambrose disqualified, and then pushing Ambrose into the ref to get him disqualified. And all the while, the ref was getting ready to disqualify Ambrose for that one. Mic check on Ambrose, and that is the match. And Miz does reclaim his 7th reign as the Intercontinental Champion. All around, I thought this was a really good match. I thought and this was kind of my prediction going into last week, I thought it was going to be the heel Miz trying to do every kind of trick in the book to try to get Ambrose disqualified, and he pretty much did that. Got slapped by his wife. I thought that was hysterical. And then pushing Ambrose into the referee. That was pretty good. I thought they kind of waited a little too long for the mic check and the finish. But I thought the match all around was really good. What are your thoughts on that one?
Being that this started off the show, to me, it was, I think, the best match to start it off. One, because the IC title. To me, the IC title, other than the heavyweight title, which we'll talk about that when we talk about SmackDown next week. That's, to me, that's the most prestigious. Then comes the IC, and so that's my favorite title in the WWE. So I'm always interested in these matches, which is why I wanted Miz to win, because I think he brings about the best in the belt where Ambrose couldn't. But for the match itself, I totally forgot the stipulation. So when I did my prediction on my show, I think it was 2 weeks ago for this, I had Elias Sampson coming out attacking Dean Ambrose to where the Miz can't win, because I forgot the stipulation. So I still thought Sampson would have had something to do with the match, to sort of set up something with Dean Ambrose, because that's, I think, the feud we're going to get in the future. Moving on later this summer. So when he didn't show up, I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time, I'm glad Miz finally took the title away from Ambrose. So, and how he did it, a lot of people were kind of mad at how Miz did it. I'm not. It worked. To me, at least he won the match, I guess it's not really cleanly, but he didn't win by DQ. So to me, it wasn't the best match of the night, but it wasn't the worst either.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, and I do like the fact that he actually got to pin Ambrose as well, and he didn't have to use a disqualification way, so that was pretty good. Moving right on along, I thought this was a match I was not looking forward to the most. It was Sasha Banks and Rich Swann versus Noam Dar and Alicia Fox. Sasha and Rich Swann defeated Dar and Fox. I just hate the way that they're using Sasha and Alicia Fox with the relationship type storyline, and I guess they're going to try to use them a little bit on 205 Live to get more viewership. I understand it from a business aspect, but I don't understand it from a creative aspect. Sasha Banks, I think, doesn't deserve to be I wouldn't say a mid card for a woman. I think it's a lower card for a woman, to be honest with you, because even though she's wrestling, it's like, she has a lot better and a lot more talent. And I feel like they could have put somebody else in place of that. Who? I don't know. I don't know who you could have put in place for which one. And Sasha Banks, I guess that makes the most sense out of the two. It makes the most out of the roster of the women. But I just wasn't looking forward to this match at all. Really didn't have much interest in it. I thought Sasha and Ruth Swann would win, which they did. But this was the match that I really wasn't looking forward to the most, and it really didn't interest me the most out of the whole night. And I was glad that they got it out of the way, second match of the evening, so that way we had a lot more to look forward to.
I would second that. I think Sasha has too much talent. Like you said, has too much talent to be stuck to 205 Live. And, I mean, these relationship storylines, I mean, you can only have so much of them watching over the period of, 15 years to where, like I have, to where they become very predictable. Even to me, even Alicia Fox has too much talent to be stuck in these type of storylines. To me, she's gotten better in the ring. Not the best, but still not. She's better than Eva Marie, so I'll give her that. And the match itself was pretty good. It was a really good. And to me, I saw Swan winning anyway, seeing that he's from Baltimore. So, and I hate that they're using the cruiserweights this way too. I don't think they know what to do with the cruiserweights, and at least we got another cruiserweight match that sort of entertained us that we'll talk about later.
That's true, and that's a little ways down the card here. Moving right along, we had the next match that came up was the Raw Women's title match, kendo stick on a pole match. First, against a kendo stick, is able to use it on her opponent. This was, to me, the most disappointing match of the night. I didn't read up on it a whole lot, but I did see that they cut this match short, and that it really made me upset because I feel like these two could have had a really good match. Kendo stick aside, and that does create a cool little entity inside the match, which Alexa Bliss did defend her Women's Championship, Raw Women's Championship, and defeated Bayley in the process. I liked how they did the both of them were going for the kendo stick at the same time, and it fell, and that means anybody could use it. That's a good way, because I guess they really pounded out that, okay, whoever first gets it gets to use it and can only use it or something like that. So I was glad they both were able to kind of put their hands on it, and then they fell flat. So that was pretty cool that they were able to do that. I just hate that, in my mind, okay, yeah, there's one kendo stick. Are they going to use that one kendo stick? Sure, but when they've been pulling it from under the ring sometimes and other places, you have to know there's more than one. So it's interesting that they didn't have like a couple hanging there, like a little, like 2 or 3 or 4, and like a little elastic cord or zip tie or something like that, or something to where they could kind of easily break apart, or you can slide out and get them one. But I just feel like they could have had just more than 1 or 2 in there, but they only had 1. But I just didn't really like the fact that they cut this match short, and it felt really pushed and really quick. I did like the fact that Alexa did keep her title. I just felt like it was done a little dirty there.
Yeah, to me, the Raw's Women's Division, at the shakeup, at the Raw we were at after Mania, we saw the the shakeup was the week after.
Yeah, it was a week after.
Okay, so we saw the shakeup, and Alexa was there, Mickie James was there, and it felt like finally Raw's Women's Division might actually have purpose, and so I feel that actually the opposite has happened to me. I feel like the revolution didn't actually happen. We're back to 5-minute matches and same sort of stuff we had before Charlotte and Bayley, and Sasha and Becky made their debuts from NXT. And this match to me kind of proved that both these women have immense talent and could put on 60-minute matches every pay-per-view if we wanted them to. Gimmick aside, I think the gimmick match that the whole kendo stick thing was executed the best they could, but I think the match itself, outside of that, just really disappointed me and a lot of other people.
Yeah, definitely agree on that. So, going from that match to, I think the next three, which were the final three, kind of went in order as far as best matches of the night. I think the main event was the best, and the Cruiserweight was the second best. And then we got this one, the Raw Tag Team Championship, inside of a steel cage. This, to me, was the third best match of the night, even though there were only 6 matches on the card. I think if you're in the top 3 tier of any pay-per-view, that's pretty good. And I think that this was the third best match on the card, with the Hardys defending their Raw Tag Team titles against Sheamus and Cesaro. And Sheamus and Cesaro did become a 2-time Raw Tag Team champions by defeating the Hardys via escaping the cage. This match had a lot of physicality to it. They definitely used the cage very well. I hate that they kept. I mean, I know that the Hardys picked the stipulation after winning the Raw before Extreme Rules, but let's be real. If they really wanted to, it should have been a ladder match. And I know we just had one of those at WrestleMania. It could have been a TLC match or something like that. I don't know, but I feel like that's a Hardy Boy thing. They wouldn't have picked a cage. But it was a really good match. I thought there was a lot of back and forth action, and I thought it was pinfall submission and escape the cage, but it was just escape the cage. I didn't really catch that, and I like how Jeff got out of the cage first and then came back, and I guess they counted that as him actually being back into the match, and that means that they both had to escape the cage again. So that was an interesting dynamic there. Hate that the Hardys lost the titles. I do understand it for Matt to take a couple weeks off to help Rebby with the brand new baby boy. So congratulations to Matt on that. Another heir to the Hardy throne, Hardy Boys 2.0 coming at you, and I think Jeff's got a daughter, so that could be basically Lita in a way. They're related, so I guess she wouldn't be able to be in a relationship with either one, which would be weird in itself. But back to the match. It was a pretty good match. Interesting dynamic on how they both were getting out at the same time, of course, and Sheamus and Cesaro happened to touch the floor before them. What were your thoughts on this match?
I really liked the match. Like you said, the cage was used properly. I think the best they could have done. I saw what I wanted to see with the cage, and that was the swanton from Jeff. That's all I really wanted. To me, having them drop the titles now, to me, was the best choice, so that they could take time off, maybe come back broken at like SummerSlam or something. But the match itself, 4 extremely great talents in the ring. I didn't see this being as good as it did, to be honest, but it really raised my expectations. I'm glad Sheamus and Cesaro could win. To me, they're the best tag team on the Raw roster right now. The Hardys are okay, and they'll always draw. They're a money draw. But I don't think right now they should be champions. And hopefully, if what I read is correct, they'll be going their separate ways, one on each brand. So maybe we can get like Team Extreme ruling both brands each getting a chance at the main titles.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I'm a fan of the Hardys as a group, as a team, and especially what they've been doing the past couple years, especially with the broken stuff. I know that that's a possibility that may not happen in WWE. And I know the fans are kind of awaiting that and preparing for that to happen. If it does happen, I think it'd be great, and I think they should have a title reign with with that gimmick, and just in general, seeing that gimmick in the WWE aspect would be really cool. But at the same time, yeah, I could see them going to separate brands, and I guess it would be interesting for them to hold the main titles. I don't know in this day and age how well they'd be able to hold themselves as world champions. And that's not a knock on either one of them to say that they can't do it and they shouldn't be champions. I just think it'd be an interesting dynamic, especially with the crop of talent that both brands have, to see how they'd be able to hold their own with some of the matches they could potentially have as champions. So that'd be an interesting dynamic to see here down the road. So going on down the list, this, like I said, to me was the second best match of the night. We had the submission match for the Cruiserweight title, Neville versus Aries, with Neville defending his Cruiserweight title and successfully defending his Cruiserweight championship by defeating Austin Aries. From a match aspect, this was a great match. Neville and Aries don't disappoint. What is disappointing is that Aries loses again. And for people like me and you who've been watching the products for a while, when Aries made Neville tap on Monday before Extreme Rules, that's usually not a good sign going into the pay-per-view that, well, we kind of know what's going to happen Sunday. And WWE does surprises us every now and then, but I didn't expect Aries to win. I hoped he did, but he didn't. And it disappointed me, the fact that this was 0-3 in pay-per-views, that he didn't get the title at. And so I'm hoping, and I do believe that this feud is done. And we'll get into a little bit after our reviews here for a topic going along with this. But the match itself was really good. I just hated for Aries that he did not get the championship.
I would agree with you. This match was the second best on the card in terms of the match itself. But like you, I am disappointed that Aries at least couldn't get one win from the matches that they've done, especially the way they built his character on commentary until he actually started wrestling again. I like Neville's character, but to me, Aries is the best choice in the cruiserweights to knock off Neville, and I felt that this pay-per-view would have been the best option for Neville to drop it, and then maybe, even if they wanted Neville to stay, give Aries a pay-per-view win, just so he doesn't lose all that momentum. Because now, if the feud is over, which hopefully it is, because no one really wants to see a fourth match. As much as I love these two in the ring together, 4 pay-per-views in a row would be kind of boring. And I actually think if you follow 205 Live, I think the next person in line would be TJP. So we'll see what comes out of the cruiserweights. But yeah, definitely disappointed for Austin Aries.
Absolutely. And following up with that is now the burning question of what happens with Aries now. I think he's now into the slipstream of uncertainty of what to do with him. Bringing him back from the commentary team to not really main eventing, but still on the show in a couple of these pay-per-views, and now him losing a third straight pay-per-view match for the Cruiserweight title. I felt like he shouldn't even be in the cruiserweight division to begin with. I know weight-wise he fits into there, but talent-wise he definitely does not. So I guess maybe that was just to help elevate the cruiserweight division and kind of bring a little bit more limelight to it and spotlight onto it to really proclaim Neville as the king of the cruiserweights and seeing who is even going to be worthy enough to knock him off as cruiserweight champion. But now with Austin Aries, where does he go from here? Does he go to a Intercontinental Championship scene? I know for sure they're not going to put him into a main event spotlight for the world title soon. It's just going to be interesting now going on if he maybe goes back to NXT, challenges for the NXT title. Does he stay on 205 Live and just get put into the mid-card? Does he happen to go to SmackDown? Somehow goes to SmackDown and competes for a U.S. or world title there. To me, a lot of uncertainty right now with Austin Aries, and it's to me, it's not really a good thing because I see so much talent into him and following him for years in TNA and ROH. I'm just kind of concerned about where he's going to go and where creative's going to go with him from here on out.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just real quick, I would agree. I don't know what they're gonna do. Hopefully, he doesn't go mid card. To me, or mid card on 205. If he fights for the IC, absolutely. I think him and Miz would be an awesome feud. So I hope that's what they do with them. If not, to me, it's just another one of those NXT signings that they don't know what to do with, and they sort of waste their talent.
Yeah, true that. So going on now to the main event of the evening, a Fatal 5-Way Extreme Rules match for the #1 contendership at Brock Lesnar's WWE Universal Championship with Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. This match, easily best match of the night. So much action and so much physicality and just an all-in-all a really good put-together match between all 5 competitors. When they first announced this match, it was really hard for me to pick one who I wanted to win. I was on board with Seth Rollins and believing he should win and needed to win. Seth didn't get the win. The ending was really great with a lot of people using their finishers and people coming in and kind of using their finishers and finishing other off. And at the end, it was Joe making Finn pass out to the Coquina Clutch. And Samoa Joe is now your #1 contender for the WWE Universal Championship with Brock Lesnar at the next Raw pay-per-view. Great Balls of Fire, which is a whole other topic for another day as far as the pay-per-view name is concerned. But for this match, easily best of the match of the night. Just a really all well put together match. Mr. Showoff, tell me why this match was phenomenal.
I think we absolutely had the best 5 talents on Raw today. I think to me the match started out slow, which was I think the way it should be. So when the pace picked up, it actually made an impact. I feel bad for Bray Wyatt because to me he had no purpose in this match. Or in this sort of situation at all. I feel he'll be stuck in the mid-card again. But he did put on a great showing. My prediction was that Samoa would win, but for about most of the match, I felt the way they were using Finn would actually pull it off. So it actually surprised me that Joe actually won the match. Which is rare. I don't get surprised much when watching wrestling. We can go and discuss that in another podcast. But so for WWE to actually surprise me, especially with the Raw pay-per-view, is probably a first of this year. And so the match itself, absolutely 5 best talents. Rollins did his thing that we expect him to do. Bray Wyatt showed how much of a talent he is, and I felt going into the whole match that a bigger guy had to win so that they could legitimize the feud with Brock Lesnar, and so Samoa Joe got the nod, and let's see how he can hold up. I hope he beats Brock at Great Balls of Fire, but I don't see that actually happening.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see from here on out the feud and how it will implement to the match at Great Balls of Fire, and we'll get into the next night on Raw, what happened, the fallout from Extreme Rules, and now we are now on the road for Raw-wise towards Great Balls of Fire. The main event is set with Samoa Joe facing off against Brock Lesnar for the WWE Universal Championship at Great Balls of Fire. But before we get into the Raw highlights here and going into the fallout, like I said, from Extreme Rules, got to take care of a little bit of business here and give a nice little shout-out for a local indie promotion that's been giving us some feedback and some shouting out as well, as we're helping each other, and that's what we're all here to do. So if I have to ask you, man, are you into indie wrestling at all? What's your take on independent wrestling?
I think some of the best talents in the world are independent wrestlers. I think we look at independent wrestling, or at least I used to look at it as, oh, they're not WWE superstars. That must mean they're not good. But to me, I've absolutely, within the last 5 years, changed my view on that. I think WWE is starting to realize how important independent wrestling is. That's why they're signing a lot of independent stars. Guys like Adam Cole and now like Cody Rhodes and Kenny Omega and stuff like this, who are getting 10-star matches, or 10-star, who even uses scales of 10 anymore, but like 5-star, 6-star matches, which break the scale, so yeah, I absolutely love independent wrestling. Haven't really got opportunities to go to any indie shows. Hopefully, maybe through this platform or something, we can go to local stuff here. I know the ones we got here, like PWX. I know George South does some stuff down here, so hopefully we can get to go to some of those events.
Absolutely. Yeah. Independent wrestling to me is vital for the industry. It's vital for the future of pro wrestling. And while we take a step back and we do thank the legends for paving the way for people like Samoa Joe, Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, and others, main event talent, caliber guys who now are leading the brand and leading WWE and leading the sport of professional wrestling. And then, like you kind of said, with Kenny Omega, we got Okada over there in New Japan, Pro Wrestling, the Young Bucks, Adam Cole's out there as well. You got a few guys over there in ROH, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, all those other, Jay Lethal. Kind of putting the mark ahead of professional wrestling and kind of the big three and the big organizations out there. Independent wrestling is the lifeblood, in my opinion, for professional wrestling, because it does give people that are younger a chance to get in there and to continue the business and continue the industry and make it grow. And it's the new batch of talent that is built from the independent scenes that are implemented to potentially a much better, brighter spot ahead with WWE potentially or elsewhere. Which is why I bring up independent wrestling, because we've got Fighting Evolution Wrestling, FEW, located down in Coral Springs, Florida. They've got an event coming up tomorrow, which we're recording this on Friday, June the 9th, so tomorrow, June the 10th. If you guys are listening to this on June the 10th, then it's tonight. Either way, we've got Summer Showdown 2, that is the number 2. Summer Showdown 2 happening in Coral Springs High School in Coral Springs, Florida. The address for that high school is 7201 West Sample Road in Coral Springs, Florida, 33065. We got Summer Showdown number 2. Got some awesome talent there that are local for Fighting Evolution Wrestling that are appearing. Also got some big names that are past WWE superstars. We've got past WWE superstar, current Impact Wrestling announcer, the Pope, Elijah Burke. We've got former WWE superstar X-Pac's going to be showing up. Former tag team for WWE, the Headbangers, and we've got current and former Impact Wrestling women's superstar ODB is going to be headlining that show as well. Summer Showdown 2, like I said, is happening at Coral Springs High School in Coral Springs, Florida. Ringside seats are only $20. This is only $20. You're getting some of the best action in Florida, in the Southeast in general, so you guys need to take advantage of this opportunity. If you're listening anywhere near Coral Springs, Florida, or anywhere in Florida in general, you want to take a trip down to Coral Springs, check out some of these older legends that have kind of paved the way for these newer guys, and checking out some awesome independent talent, definitely take the chance to do so and support the local independent scene. Ringside seats are $20, like I said. General admission's only $15, and kids 10 and under get in free. For tickets, you can visit Summer Showdown 2, that is the number 2, summershowdown2.eventbrite.com. And you can also follow Facebook, FEW Survive. Once again, that's FEW Survive on Facebook. Fighting Evolution Wrestling, Summer Showdown 2, happening June the 10th, only at Coral Springs High School in Coral Springs, Florida. Now getting back to highlights of Raw, fallout from Extreme Rules. Kind of show opens up with Bray Wyatt delivering a promo to Roman Reigns, and we get the first match of the evening, which was Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. Reigns wins cleanly over Bray. I guess you're going to go with this feud for both the competitors as they kind of fill in their spots for the summer before SummerSlam. Or at least maybe they're not, because they've had, I think, 2 matches in the past 2 weeks. And Reigns won, I believe, both times, once by disqualification, and then this time he actually beat him cleanly. It was a good way to open the show. The promos Bray do in general are really well done. I just I hate that he was a world champion in February, lost it at WrestleMania, and then now we're just at this back to kind of slipping into a higher tier mid card, if you want to call it that. And he's losing some matches. So I mean, I hate for him, and that's why I was really upset that he went to Raw, because he was doing really well on SmackDown. They were running with him. They were giving him chances, and just hate it for him that he keeps putting in good performances and great promos, and WWE and the creative team are just kind of like, yeah, but we've got Roman Reigns over here. We've got Samoa Joe. We've got Finn Balor. We've got Seth Rollins. There's no one just can't push it just yet. We've got Brock Lesnar as the champion. So that's just my opinion on it. I just really hate that they're kind of burying Bray in a way. That just seems like it to me.
Absolutely. That's actually the way I feel. I feel they have nothing for him to do on Raw. And so they're I don't want to say he's being buried, but to me he's just the punching bag of Raw, to the way so he's basically there to put talent over people like Roman Reigns, who we know will always be booked as the favorite and the sort of big dog, if we want to go with his nickname. But to me, it made no sense to move Bray to Raw. Still makes no sense at all to keep him there. I feel sorry for Bray Wyatt, because it feels like his entire career he's been booked poorly, though he's consistently one of the best wrestlers, the best seller of merchandise. He's probably the most over superstar on the roster. When they were the Wyatts, when they first debuted and continued through the feud with Cena and the feuds after the feud with the Shield and all that, to me they were the best tag team. And then they tried to break them up, realized it didn't work, and now they're breaking them up again. And so I feel sorry for him. And then again, there's Roman Reigns, which I completely forgot was in the Fatal Five-Way. I was when I was reviewing it.
Come on.
When I was reviewing the 5-Way, I was like, okay, I'm talking about Rollins, talking about Joe, talking about Bray. Who's the fifth one I'm missing? And then you mentioned Roman Reigns, and I was like, oh yeah, him.
Oh yeah, that guy.
He's dead to me. So.
Yes, sir. Tell me how you really feel.
It's so bad. I threw his shirt away. So.
Whoa! Wow. Yeah. I mean, at first I was kind of a Roman Reigns supporter, just because I thought he was, for one, it was kind of a cool thing to hate Roman Reigns, so I wanted to be the uncool guy and cheer for him, and I thought he was actually pretty decent. And then he started feuding with AJ Styles, and ever since then it's been a tailspin.
I liked him in the Shield, and then they kind of pushed him, and
Pushed him?
they pushed him.
I
Like
think the word shove would be a better idea.
You're right. So, and then they sort of calmed down with getting him over, making him U.S. champion. And I was like, yeah, just keep him here. He's good on the mid-card type. Now we're back in the same boat. So.
Yeah, it's this ever-flowing cycle effect. It's crazy. Like I said, we're just gonna kind of hit the highlights of Raw, in my opinion, what the highlights were. If you have anything you want to implement to this, definitely implement them as well. The next highlight that I've got listed on here is the Samoa Joe and the Paul Heyman segment. That was, to me, a fantastic segment. And it's really starting to build up the legitimacy of not Roman. We've already talked about Roman Reigns. He's not even this segment. I'm already talking about him still. It's bad, exactly. It's another Samoan. I can't help it.
Is Vince paying you to push him?
I'm not allowed to disclose that at this point. Well, we'll talk about that after the show. I think they're really starting to build up this program really well, and it's starting to legitimize the match between Samoa Joe and Brock at Great Balls of Fire for the title. I think it's going to take something like this every week to kind of make it legitimized and to make it seem like Joe has a chance at Brock. And in his TNA days, man, I think Samoa Joe could have been with anybody. And that was with the TNA roster, and that was with the WWE roster at the time. That was between 2006 to 2013, something like that, 2014. I think that as long as Joe continues these kind of promos, I think it'll really legitimize the fight between him and Lesnar in about 4 weeks away at the pay-per-view. If I was at the crowd, and if you couldn't hear what they were saying without the microphones, I would have been a little upset because you're like, okay, what is he saying? I need captions for this. I don't know what's going on. But the implementation of not using that microphone for that minute or so, and the hand gesturing and stuff like that, and then finally putting Paul Heyman to the cocaine clutch and making him pass out, that to me was really well done, and I'm actually starting to look forward to this match and seeing what kind of level of violence will Samoa Joe bring out to the table for that match in about a few weeks away. I just thought this segment, though, was really, really well done.
So I'm glad you chose these two highlights because these were the only parts of Raw that I watched. So, we'll explain. That's gonna be my my podcast. Why I'm not watching Raw. That's my podcast tomorrow. So.
There's your preview, guys, for any of you listening. That's the preview of why I'm not watching Raw.
But I totally forgot what we were talking about. Samoa Joe. Okay. I think my fear is that they're legitimizing Samoa Joe so that they can legitimize the complete destruction Brock Lesnar is going to bring to him. Him putting Heyman in the coquina clutch, while it's, oh yeah, someone finally touched Paul Heyman. To me, it's going to make Brock Lesnar come out more aggressive and will beat Samoa Joe, and it will make him look, again, to me, the whole build is to build Brock Lesnar as a super freak beast that he was, forgetting the fact that he lost to Goldberg a couple times. And so, while the segment was entertaining, was awesome to me, looking past that segment and looking to how the rest of the story is going to be played out, I hope they build Joe to where he can beat Brock Lesnar so I can actually watch Raw again. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. And in fact, I think they'll build Seth and Finn and Roman the same way. and maybe if they want to include Bray Wyatt in the feud for the title, they'll build him the same way and to make Brock look unbeatable until the unfortunate thing happens and he actually loses to, well, whoever he loses to. We won't say his name. We won't say his name here. So if my prediction comes right, it won't make me happy. So yeah, that's my take.
We don't want you to be angry. We don't want the angry show off. We want the phenomenal show off. We can't have the angry show.
I mean, look what happened when Dolph Ziggler got angry. Though he became the best on SmackDown. But I mean, we can debate that some other time.
That debate will happen shortly, my friend. That's a debate I love to have. And like I said, this is all kind of like I said, the highlights are going through Raw. What I thought were the highlights of it. This next highlight, if you didn't watch Raw, it's happened the past few weeks. So if you caught a glimpse of it or either seen it on YouTube, this isn't something that was brand new. This is something that's been going on for the past couple of weeks. The Goldust and R-Truth promos. While the feud itself may not really matter much or doesn't really have any implications on anything, I really am enjoying these promos that these two are doing. I love the fact that we've got basically the old Goldust back. I really enjoy that character. I'm really enjoying the 2017 reincarnation of it. I think WWE did a great job with, if you're going to make Goldust heel, how do we make him heel? Do we just continue his little gimmick? Do we change him into another? Do we change Dustin Rhodes into another character like TNA did with Black Reign and just these weird, severely weird concepts? They said, no, you know what? Let's go back to the drawing board and what's new or what's old is new again. And that's basically what this concept is putting that old Goldust character back in the director's chair and making it kind of new again and just putting a different spin onto it. So I'm really enjoying this. I really would like to see what's going to happen with this for the next couple of weeks, and especially I'm sure they're going to have a match, probably a Great Balls of Fire. As long as they don't blow it and give it away on free television on Raw. That wouldn't surprise me with WWE. But I'm really enjoying these two and some of the work that they're doing recently. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of fallout happens between those two.
Actually, in terms of feuds that I actually am looking forward to, this to me, I didn't actually see the team breaking up. I felt it was just going to be one of those teams that they'll use talent or they'll be used to get talent over. And so when they broke up, I was like, oh, they're actually going to do a feud between these two. And then the more they actually are using them, to me, this could be, it won't be main event caliber, but for the age these two superstars are in, R-Truth is one of the best, I would say, mid-card talent they have alongside of Goldust. And so growing up and watching this type of Goldust character back then and seeing it again is awesome, though I was scared of it when I was 5 years old. But I'm glad they're actually bringing it back and actually using the full-time old-timers that they have, where we have the champion never show up. We have these guys to watch from our childhood, and R-Truth, through all his gimmicks he's gone through and name changes, still putting on great matches at, what's he, like 50 years old? So
I wouldn't say 50. I think he's in his 40s, but either way.
But I mean, these people who we would say were past their prime, past the age to wrestle, still putting on B+, A- type matches, and so I'm really looking forward to this just to see what. My fear is that they're gonna put it on a pay-per-view and make it like a 5-minute match and just ruin the whole build-up to it.
Yeah, I agree. I hope that doesn't happen. And I mean, I thought maybe the breakup would happen eventually. I didn't think it was going to be Goldust turning on R-Truth. I thought it was going to be R-Truth turning on Goldust. But with the fans' implications, in these years of trying to push characters, Golden Truth was like 36-0 at the beginning of May. Television tapings, and live events. So I'm like, okay, well, if fans can get behind this, they could have a shot at the tag team titles. And literally, I think 2 or 3 weeks later, they are now in a feud together. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's definitely interesting. It's caught my attention, obviously. And so, like I said, I think it's really cool what they're doing with them now. And I definitely hope that they don't get moved to a kickoff match for a pay-per-view. They don't put it into a mid-card match on Raw or on Raw in general. I hope it's a main card pay-per-view match. These two definitely deserve it, especially, like you said, for superstars to be viewed past their prime. These two are almost in their prime right now with this feud. So it's really cool to see that. Moving on with some of the highlights of the show. The ever-growing curious case of what happened to Big Cass happened again this week, and also happened to, I don't think it happened to Enzo this week, but I know it did happen to Big Cass. I think we're still delaying the inevitable that it's probably Enzo and Cass attacking each other. This week we had Enzo and Big Show become a tag team against Luke Harper and Carl Anderson. It's weird to put Big Show into this little spot, and he didn't at first look like he wanted to be there, and he was about to attack Enzo, and then he went along with it and had a little mini match, and then backstage him and Cass had words, and it was really interesting. And I guess we're just trying different ways to kind of make it suspenseful. I don't think it's really going to work out very well. And I hate the fact that Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows, who were the tag team champions going into WrestleMania, are now jobbing to Enzo Amore and partner, whether it's Cass or Big Show. Another couple of people that I just feel like are not being used at all well. If anybody needs a change, they should be going to SmackDown, where that tag team division needs to be sparked up a little bit more. And I think that'd be an interesting point of view for them. What's your take on this whole Enzo and Cass thing, and Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows?
So when Enzo and Cass joined the main roster, I probably marked out more than anybody. These were my favorite tag team on NXT. They had Carmella with them as their sort of valet while she was learning how to get better in the ring and not be so green. And she can actually talk for them, though Enzo was the mouthpiece of the group, and they really didn't need to talk her. Carmella helped. And then they debuted, and they rode their momentum. But as most sort of characters like this happen, creative messes them up. And Enzo got hurt in a match against the Vaudevillains, and they sort of pushed Cass as a singles wrestler for a couple of weeks. And so I think to Vince, the idea came in, let's actually push him as a singles wrestler. Then Enzo got better, and everyone thought, when's their tag team title run going to happen? And now I feel yes, it's Cass and Enzo attacking each other, eventually leading to another feud and another tag breakup, which, to me, while it's best for Big Cass to be by himself, honestly, I think Enzo, I don't want to say Enzo's holding him back, but I think the tag team itself has run its course. But you're right, SmackDown needs another tag team. Alpha's basically non-existent anymore. Don't know where they went. The Vaudevillains separated because of Gotch being fired. So you essentially have the Usos and the Fashion Police to run the tag team division, and so this kind of leads into my answer on Anderson and Gallows. When they debuted, they came out of nowhere. I think I don't even know who they attacked, but it was in an AJ Styles match. They attacked whoever AJ Styles, I think, was wrestling, if I remember it correctly, because it's been 2 years already.
Yeah, they debuted January or February of 2016.
Yeah, so they came out, and I was like, oh yeah. When they announced who it was, I was like, the club's here. They're gonna use them as this big aggressive team. They're gonna get the tag titles, and they kind of did the exact opposite with their feud against the New Day. Really, really, to me, weakened the effect that the club could have had in the tag team division, because they had the job to the New Day, and then the whole sort of doctor gimmick, which no one got behind. It should have ended before it began.
Yeah, I didn't mind the fact that Dana Brooke was a nurse in that little feud doctor thing. I was okay with that.
And so for the longest time, I was like, yeah, no, I'm not buying these guys as the tag team, as these big guys that they came out to be. I'm like, yeah, no, they're just another failed creative idea. They're wasted talent. Then they came back, got rid of all what to me was a stupid gimmick. Came back as basically the club, the Destroyers that I thought they should have always been, and now they're jobbing again. So I don't think they know. I don't think creative knows what to do with them. And I think Raw has too many tag teams. So that's, like you said, move the club to SmackDown. To me, that'd be the best move. I don't think it'll happen. But it'll be interesting to see how they are used.
Absolutely, I do agree with that. Moving on to to me, the second best segment. I don't mean the whole show as far as what was the best segments of the show. I think this was the second best non-wrestling segment of the show. I think the Joe and Heyman segment was the best. This one with the Miz IC title celebration was the second best. I thought this was a really funny and interesting segment. Maurice kind of setting up everything, and they had the I don't know if you saw this or not, and I don't think you did, but they had this bear in the corner, and it kept, I think it said congratulations. I think that's what it said. Ambrose, early in the night, Angle was going to, or Ambrose wanted to beat up on Miz. Angle said, you need to take the night off, whatever. And then the Angle and Corey Graves segment where Graves was pulled from the commentary table again and was asked by Kurt Angle a couple things. I think this is going to be an interesting little fallout of what happens with that text message and the whole storyline build-up around that. That's going to be interesting, and that's a whole other discussion. But so Ambrose had to leave the arena, so Kurt went to go talk private matters, I believe, and he left the building, and Ambrose snuck his way in. So it's like, okay, yeah, he's going to get involved with the IC title celebration, of course. And so you had this little bear that was dressed up in this really wacky outfit, jumping up and down, holding up a congratulations sign. Miz comes out, Maurice, is talking and stuff. Miz comes out, and he said, wow, this is a great celebration. You've got balloons, you got the champagne, you even got the bear. And Maurice is like, I didn't get a bear. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, there's Ambrose. Yeah. And so Miz just beats the crap out of this bear, pulls off the head, and it's not Ambrose. So I was like, okay, all right, you swords me a little bit. Interesting. And so then a person brings on a present, a big, huge box, puts it in front of ringside, and Miz is like, okay, yep, I know who this is. This is Ambrose. And gets a chair and starts whacking the crap out of it, knocks it over, and then does like 3 elbows on this thing on the floor, which was hilarious. Maurice is flipping out because he's like, I bought you that. What are you doing? And Miz is like, what do you mean? He pulls it out, and he pulls out the head of a grandfather clock. And I was like, oh, boy, you done messed up there, boy. And so she left, and then Miz went back into the ring and I guess tried to apologize to his wife, and that's when Ambrose was assigned as a cameraman and, beat up the Miz. That was a funny little segment. That was a cool little segment that what they did there. Definitely kept a little suspenseful with where Ambrose or how he was going to attack him. So that was kind of cleverly designed and built up. I hope this Miz Ambrose feud ends at Great Balls of Fire, because I feel like Ambrose is going to get his rematch. They need to end it at Great Balls of Fire, because I would like to see an Ambrose Elias Sampson feud. And then I just think we need somebody new into this Intercontinental title scene. I love the fact that Miz is Intercontinental Champion. Don't get me wrong, he's really legitimized that belt the past year, and I think that's why WWE has continuously had him as IC Champion. We just need somebody new, somebody fresh, something like that. Whether or not you want to give your opinion on, I know you didn't see the segment, but just for me telling you if you had any thoughts about that or just the IC title picture in general.
I agree that we need fresh faces in the IC title picture. One, because yes, while I like how Miz has sort of legitimized the title again, and again, this was the only match at Extreme Rules, and probably the only time in the history of the Miz's career that I actually cheered for Miz. I mean, as soon as the match ended, I was like, yep, time to go back to hating them. And then they continue. I was like, of course they'll do the rematch. And so I hope it ends at Great Balls of Fire so I can actually go back to doing what I'm best at, and that's hating the Miz. I don't know what it is about his character, but so I don't know who they'll put in the picture. Maybe Austin Aries or an Elias Sampson or something. I think Sampson inevitably will feud with Ambrose, and that should be interesting. The whole Drifter gimmick should work against Ambrose. The promos that Sampson has done so far have definitely exceeded my expectations, seeing how the Drifter character really didn't get over in NXT before his year-long injury. And then him coming back and actually being seen for the first time on the main roster, where it sort of seemed like he was actually going between brands drifting, and it got him over. But yeah, I definitely think the IC picture needs a new face, whoever it is. Really don't care. But so yeah, there you go.
Yep, I do agree with you on that, and hopefully we'll see in the coming weeks what happens with the IC title picture after Great Balls of Fire and see what goes on from there. The second to last highlight that I've got on here is Alexa Bliss, and she faced Nia Jax for the Raw Women's title match, and the match ended in disqualification. I do believe Alexa Bliss won by disqualification. Mickie James and Dana Brooke were at their ringside because Alexa Bliss was trying to be like, hey, listen, this is us against her, not me against you guys. And, of course, that didn't work out. And they came down ringside, and I think they beat up on her for a little bit, and that caused Nia Jax to get disqualified. I don't think Bayley was implemented onto the show. Maybe she was at the end. I don't remember of that segment. With the whole Sasha Banks and Alicia Fox thing with 205 Live, and then you got Alexa Bliss and Bayley, I almost forgot Nia Jax, Mickie James, and Dana Brooke were even on the Raw roster until last night. So it was finally good that they got TV time and they were implementing them onto the show. Maybe a Fatal 4-Way at Great Balls of Fire, maybe a Fatal 5-Way with Bayley. I don't know. I do know that it'd be interesting to see what goes on from here from that. I would like to see Dana Brooke get a chance just because she's a nice woman. I met her at Access. We met her at Access. She's a great person. But besides that, I think Dana Brooke just needs more TV time. She just needs more matches. She needs more something. And Mickie James is a pioneer in the women's division, so you definitely got to give her respect to her time on there. So it may be a little hard to do that, but take away from something. If you guys are really creative-wise, is really implementing and wanting to make the women's division work, you got to make time for them. And so I think that if they continuously make a little more time for them, give them a couple more segments, stuff like that, a couple more matches, I think it'd be great for them as a division as a whole. So, but it would be interesting to see what's going to happen here in a few weeks at the pay-per-view, what will happen with Bliss and the rest of the Raw Women's division, basically.
So yeah, I agree. The division to me on Raw is too big with the movement of Mickey James and Alexa Bliss. And then only having Charlotte leave, and I thought Sasha would leave with Charlotte to sort of do like an equal split. And then Dana Brooke came back, Emma came back, and then of course you had Nia Jax there. I can understand why Dana Brooke's not used full time. She still does weightlifting and bodybuilding competitions, so she's not going to get the most TV time, which is a shame because she's a really good talent. Meeting her in Access completely changed my perspective of her. Absolutely despised her before Access. Came out absolutely loving the fact that I met her.
That woman has got an R, man. She was going to kill people with those Snickers she was throwing.
Yeah, she was. But, I mean, and then being the only one, I think, in my group that she called babe, so, you know, I got something.
Right,
I mean, Dolph Ziggler, if you're hearing this, you're phenomenal. But she called me babe, so, you know. And then Nia Jax, okay, so people hate that I hate on Nia Jax. I'm not the only one in the Outlaws who hate on Nia Jax. And it's not because of size. Well, for the other guy, it's probably because of size. For me...
Yeah, about to say, the other one has not been on the show because we will be banned if he has his opinions on Nia Jax.
But my hate for her is not because of her size. I think her character had potential. I think it's been destroyed by the way with her squash matches built her character, and I thought they were okay. Then she got into actual competition and started losing, and which to me lost all momentum. Her WrestleMania appearance, there was no reason to add her in that match. She was there for like 5 minutes. So my hate and my dislike of Nia Jax as a character isn't a size thing. I think bigger people have proven that they could wrestle just as well as more in shape people. Owens has proved that, and he's actually lost a lot of weight. Bray Wyatt has proved it. Luke Harper has proved it. And so it's not a side thing. It's, to me, I just don't think she's worthy of a push. I don't think she has enough talent, and I think she was moved up too quickly out of NXT without really any backstory. Unless you actually watched Breaking Ground, where they went into her backstory, no one really knew who she was. It'd be interesting to see where it goes in terms of this division. I think moving one or two of the women to SmackDown might help. It'll be interesting to see if any of the sort of unused divas on Raw sort of get fed up and move over to, and maybe like make a surprise entrance at Money in the Bank or something. That'd be interesting to see if they try to do that. But I think in order for Raw to use all the women, they'll have to start doing fatal 4-ways or fatal 5-ways or 6-pack challenges just to get everyone airtime so we don't forget about them.
Yeah, absolutely. And, who knows what will happen there. I think it'd be interesting to see what goes on here in the next couple of weeks. The final segment that I've got listed here on the Raw review and the Raw highlight is Mojo versus Seth Rollins in the main event. Really good match. Really, really, really good match. Our boy Seth showcasing why he is the man. However, did pass out from the Coquina Clutch, and Mojo does pick up the victory here on the main event of Raw. Like I said, beginning with the Mojo Heyman segment, this is a great way to legitimize Samoa Joe. Of course, him picking up wins over these top talents. I hate that Seth is kind of now in where Bray Wyatt is, with not knowing what's going on, where he's going to go from here on out and stuff like that. But it's just a great way to build up Samoa Joe and legitimize this fight. Like I said again with Brock heading into Great Balls of Fire for the Universal title. So we'll see what happens with Rollins. I really hope he doesn't slip into the same thing that Bray is going into, and seeing him on SmackDown with Bray again would be great, and what Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. But I feel like Seth does deserve Universal title shot, and I think he will later this fall. But I would like to see him get another main title push. That is to determine to be seen. But for right now, it is Samoa Joe's time to challenge for that Universal title. The first real defense it's only the first defense of the Universal title Brock Lesnar will be in a few weeks at Great Balls of Fire, and a great opponent with Samoa Joe. So a great way to end Raw. Tough loss there for Seth, but just a great massive build-up that Samoa Joe is getting right now to help his cause to fight Lesnar.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Samoa Joe has to have matches like that. This is probably the only match of the night that I actually watched. I watched the opening segment with Reigns and Bray Wyatt, and then Samoa Joe, Heyman, and then Samoa Joe and Rollins were the only three things I watched. The match was awesome. The problem with me doing Raw reviews is that I don't remember actual moments to say, oh yeah, this was my favorite part, because my memory sucks. But so the match itself was awesome. I think Joe has to continue to have these outstanding promo work. Him and Heyman can really build this without Brock appearing, though I think if I read right, I think Brock actually will be on Raw this week coming up, if I read it right.
Yep, he'll be on Raw this week.
So that should be interesting. I might have to tune in because, the champ is actually here.
Literally.
And again, if you catch my podcast tomorrow, that's another preview of that. Joe needs to continue to have great promos against Heyman and great matches against whoever they put him against, to sort of build momentum, to make it not so obvious that Brock Lesnar will probably walk away from Great Balls of Fire with the title still. And maybe this could be one of the times that WWE can surprise the entire WWE universe and make Samoa Joe Universal Champion now, so that we don't have to sit and wait until SummerSlam for another month without really any build. But even after SummerSlam, I don't even know any announced date Brock Lesnar is going to actually appear after SummerSlam. So we may have to wait till like Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series or something like that to get another appearance if he remains champion. So please, if you're hearing this, anyone in Raw Creative, please make Samoa Joe champion. Please. We'll see. Hopefully this continues to build the way I anticipate it, and that Raw can actually maybe gain ratings. Now that Lesnar's back, I expect the ratings next week to maybe go up. We'll see. Maybe it ends the cycle of every Raw after Mania going down. So we'll see.
Definitely, we will see. A couple things to hit on before we end the podcast here this week. What is the deal with Impact Wrestling? Signing and going to be having former NFL running back D'Angelo Williams wrestling at Slammiversary July 2nd. Did you hear about that?
I actually did not.
D'Angelo Williams is going to be in a tag team match with Moose, who was a former offensive lineman in the NFL by the name of Quinn Ojanaka. But D'Angelo Williams and Moose will be teaming up to go up against Chris Adonis and Eli Drake at Slammiversary, only on pay-per-view July 2nd. I have been watching Impact Wrestling, so I really have no idea what's going on, but one of my friends and coworkers and friends texted me and said something about D'Angelo Williams was going to be making his wrestling debut. I was like, really? And I looked up the article, and NBC Sports has got it on here, a few other sports outlets and stuff like that. Really interesting, and I guess this is a way for Impact Wrestling to kind of legitimize themselves again. The last time that I remember them implementing something from football was 2007 with Pac-Man Jones, when he was actually a TNA World Tag Team Champion, believe it or not. That was during his suspension from football and stuff like that, but there may have been other football stars in there that I'm just not thinking of at the moment. But I know Orlac was in TNA, but that was back in 2003. But as of recently, I'm not really sure. So I guess that's a way to get your name out there and get it more legitimized. I don't know. It had to be interesting to see. I'm not going to buy it until Slammiversary, but I'm sure somebody will record and put it on YouTube or something like that, and I may catch it or catch some highlights of it. So I want to try that. I thought it was really interesting, just from a wrestling perspective. And then the second thing is anybody who is either a NASCAR fan or lives in South Carolina, and especially from the upstate area, catch the race Sunday at Pocono. There's a number 51 car that's going to be racing around, driving in some orange and purple colors, and it's got the National Champion logo on the front of the hood. Come on now, check that out. Got the National Champions riding around in Pocono, and I think they're going to be having one more race sponsorship in Darlington, and I'm going to that, so that's going to be pretty cool. So, those are the only two things I've got. Do you have anything else you want to add on here before we head off?
Nothing comes to mind right now. But yeah, I'll second. I don't know if I'll watch the race. I know my dad will probably record it. So yeah, definitely we'll be cheering for the 51. I don't even know who's driving it. I don't even know the team. The team it races for. It don't matter. It's just Clemson orange and purple on it. So if they win, that'd be the greatest thing ever. But
I think back in 2013 or something like that, when Auburn won the national championship, a driver was sponsoring Auburn. I don't know if it was for the national championship or something else. It had to have been, I think. And I think McMurray was in that one car, and he was sponsoring Auburn. And he won at Talladega, so that was pretty cool. But I don't think that'll happen this week, but we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't have anything else.
Alrighty then. Definitely gonna take care of some of the social media aspects of it. You can follow me. My personal account on Twitter will also be the same account for MarkOutMania, for anything as regarding the show and everything regarding special guests, what we're going to be talking about, stuff like that. So you can my Twitter follow at Cody Montanaro. That's like Joe Montana, just adding an R-O at the end of it. Capitalize the K and capitalize the M. Also got the Concord Outlaws on Twitter at Concord Outlaws. The C and the O are capitalized. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Concord Outlaws Wrestling. Show off if you want to go ahead and give your plugs for social media.
All right, so he already gave the sort of Outlaws Facebook page. Hit me up if you want to be a friend on my personal page. My name is Randall Beatley, RANDALL which is also my Twitter, no capitalization at all. If you're on the Instagram, my name is The Phenomenal Show Off. I was going to make that my Twitter name, but Twitter only allows like 16 characters, so it's too long. So
I don't know where did my name get through that.
And then the only thing I want to add is I'm looking for guests for my podcast. If anyone wants to be on it, other than the people who are already in the Outlaws, you can send that, or if you want promotions for any independent wrestling, if you run a promotion or know someone or a wrestler in a promotion and want us to promote an event, you can send one to either ConcordOutlaws@gmail.com or ThePhenomenalShowOffLive@gmail.com. I'll respond to either one. I would rather use the Phenomenal Show Off Live one. That's the one I'm on more. So yeah, that's basically it.
Awesome, man. I do appreciate you for being on here this week as my guest for this week of MarkOutMania. Really appreciated it. Cool to get your insight and to have another outlaw on here. Kind of two outlaws are better than one.
Absolutely.
So definitely give a listen to his podcast, A Phenomenal Show Off. He'll be posting that here shortly. And thank you guys again for listening to this podcast. Check out episodes 1 and 2 on YouTube. MarkOutMania episode 1 and 2 on there. And this is now episode 3. We'll see you guys next week where we will be reviewing SmackDown and previewing Money in the Bank next week. For now, I want to take care of everybody and want you guys to take care of yourselves as well. We'll see you next week.